So Donald Trump's CDC director has stepped down after reports that she had a bit of a conflict of interest. Now, I'm going to go to Politico that reports that the Center for Disease Control and Prevention Director Brenda Fitzgerald resigned on Wednesday, one day after it was made public that she traded tobacco stocks while she was the head of the agency. That would appear to be a no-no. And obviously, yes, a huge conflict of interest. Now, they said that this morning, Secretary Azar, who, by the way, is somebody who presided over a company, Eli Lilly, that had jacked up the price of prescription drugs, namely insulin. So, great guy, right? Now, Azar accepted Brenda Fitzgerald's resignation as director of the CDC. This is according to the Department of Health and Human Services statement that was recently put out. They said Dr. Fitzgerald owns certain complex financial interests that have imposed a broad recusal limiting her ability to complete all of her duties as a CDC director. Due to the nature of these financial interests, Dr. Fitzgerald could not divest from them in a definitive time period. They continue. After advising Secretary Azar of both the status of the financial interests and her scope of her recusal, Dr. Fitzgerald tendered and the Secretary accepted her resignation. Now, what kind of shares was she buying? So that's interesting because in order to have a conflict of interest, you would actually have to have some sort of stake in what you're buying that is related to your position. Well, it turns out that according to Politico, Fitzgerald had bought a share in Japan Tobacco 1 month into her leadership of the agency. So the problem is the CDC is actually tasked with ensuring that people smoke less. That's one of their stated missions, right? Now, the thing is, they want people to smoke less because smoking is obviously linked with cancer, emphysema, other terrible illnesses. So yes, they want to actually save human lives and make sure that less people smoke. Now, she owned shares in a tobacco company. I wonder what way she would actually rule on certain decisions. I wonder how impartial she planned on being when it came to advocating against cigarettes. I think we all know the answer to that. This is an example of the swamp. This is an example of the corruption that is rampant in our government, right? So there's more. Now, the stock was about one of a dozen new investments Fitzgerald made after she took the job. So this isn't stock that she had before joining the CDC. No, she joins the CDC and she's like, I'm going to take a look at this stock and I'm going to buy it. She also bought stocks in Merck, Bayer, and the health insurer Humana. Again, she bought these after she took the job. Now, who do you think that she was planning on helping? If you can't see the corruption, it is in your face. Like, you have to be blind not to see it. It's right there. It's right there. Now they continue. Fitzgerald was already under scrutiny for failing to divest from other holdings she bought prior to taking the job, which led to her recusal from some health issues. So they already knew it was a problem, right? So she's like, oh, I can't talk about that. I can't talk about this. I can't actually do that. Then why are you there? What's the whole point of you having the job if you can't actually talk about things or actually do anything because you have to recuse yourself? In fact, she was invited to testify before Congress at least 4 times on various public health issues, but was unable to do so because of her conflicts. Again, why is she there in the first place? I can tell you she's there to help her own financial interest. It's the same story with a lot of these appointees. They either go into the agency and with the stated effort of destroying it, for example, Scott Pruitt in EPA, Alex Azar with, of course, HHS, and others, right? Or they're in there to make money, which is what she apparently was doing. Now, I don't know what to say about Ben Carson. I think he fell asleep when he took over HUD. We haven't heard much from him. But look, seriously, though, you shouldn't be allowed to own stock or in anything that you're supposed to oversee or regulate. That is a clear conflict of interest. Now, of course, President Trump, he has not divested from his businesses. So he still kind of runs them as much as he could run them, right? And mostly he just delegates, I'm assuming. But look, the fact that he still runs and owns his businesses, that is unprecedented. And I don't know why more people don't look at that and say, well, I mean, he could do it. He's the president of the United States. Maybe I should do it. I don't see why more people wouldn't do that. I mean, obviously, he can get away with it. So, hey, look, if I can get away with it, sure, I'm going to get away with it. Because, I mean, you guys, you voted for him. You knew that he wasn't going to divest his business holdings. He's like, no, I'm going to run both my business and I'm going to run the government as well. But that is a clear conflict of interest. But he doesn't care. And sadly, I think a lot of his voters don't care. You voted to drain the swamp. This is the swamp. This is a big example of the swamp. And look, in this case, to be fair, she drained herself from the swamp, okay? But in a lot of other areas in the government, there's a massive amount of corruption, and there are people that are only there to serve their own interests. And that is the big, big problem in government. And it's not just the Republicans, of course, it's Democrats as well. That end up, of course, making money by representing industry and getting massive amounts of campaign donations. So, now, I will leave you on a lighter note. Thankfully, there are still journalists out there that are going and looking up these stories, that are shining a light on the massive corruption inside of our government. Because I can guarantee that if this story had not come out, she would not have resigned. So the message that I take from that is the corruption shrinks as long as you shine a light on it. Light is the biggest disinfectant that you can have. And it's about time that we use it. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.